Welcome back, friends, to the Daily Uplift, where we explore the little things that make a big difference in how we approach life. I'm your host, Amelia Brooks, and as always, I'm here to share a dose of positivity, practical advice, and some gentle encouragement to brighten your day. Today, we're talking about something that is so simple, yet so transformative: the power of perspective. You know, life is always going to throw challenges our way, and we can't always control what happens. But what we can control is how we choose to see things. And sometimes that's all it takes to completely change how we feel about our circumstances. So grab your coffee, tea, or whatever makes you feel cozy. And let's dive in. Why perspective matters. Let's start with a little reflection on why perspective matters so much. We all have those days when everything feels like it's just falling apart, right? Maybe you've had a tough week at work, or you're dealing with something personal that's weighing you down. In those moments, it's easy to feel stuck, frustrated, or even hopeless. But what if I told you that how you see the situation might actually be adding to the weight you're carrying? Think about it for a second. We often look at challenges and see them as obstacles blocking our path. We focus on the difficulty, the pain, or the frustration. And that's natural. We're wired to react to stress. But what if instead of focusing on the challenge itself, we zoomed out and asked ourselves, is there something here that I can learn from? Is there a silver lining I'm not seeing? This shift in perspective is like opening a window in a stuffy room. Suddenly, the air feels fresher, and the space seems less confined. It doesn't mean the challenge disappears, but it feels less overwhelming, less permanent. Think of a time when something in your life didn't go as planned, but later you realized it led to something better or taught you something valuable. That's the power of perspective. It's the ability to see beyond the immediate difficulty and recognize that there's more to the story. Finding the silver lining. I want to introduce today's life lesson: finding the silver lining. Now, this isn't about ignoring reality or sugarcoating tough situations. It's about looking for what's still going right when so much feels wrong. Let me share a little story. A few years ago, a friend of mine lost a job she loved. She was devastated, as you can imagine, because that job was her passion, her identity. For weeks, she was consumed with worry. What would she do next? Would she find something as fulfilling? And most of all, why did this have to happen to her? But after some time, something shifted. She realized that losing that job gave her the push she needed to pursue a career path she had always dreamed of, but never had the courage to follow. Now, she's doing something she truly loves and has built an incredible career around it. The silver lining in her story was that what seemed like a loss became an opportunity for growth. She discovered a strength and clarity she didn't know she had. The situation didn't change, but her perspective did. And with that new perspective, her reality began to shift too. Now, I know not every challenge has such an immediate, obvious bright side. Sometimes the silver lining is simply a lesson learned. Maybe you discover your own resilience in a difficult time, or perhaps you learn how to set better boundaries in relationships after a conflict. Whatever the situation, there's almost always something positive to take away. You just have to look for it. Here's the key. Actively seeking out that silver lining rewires your brain. The more you look for the good in difficult situations, the more natural it becomes. Instead of automatically focusing on what's going wrong, your mind starts to shift toward asking, what's going right? This doesn't just make you feel better. It actually helps you find solutions and move forward. Shaping your reality through perspective. Here's a thought that I want to linger on for a moment. You have the power to shape your reality through how you see the world. This is one of those concepts that sounds simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Let's break it down. The way you interpret events in your life is heavily influenced by your perspective. Imagine two people going through the same experience. Say, a big project at work that didn't turn out the way they had hoped. One person might see it as a failure and feel like giving up, while the other person might view it as a learning experience and feel energized to try again. The circumstances are the same, but the way each person sees the situation is totally different. And that difference in perspective creates a completely different emotional response. I'm not saying that shifting your perspective will magically solve all your problems, but it will change how you feel about those problems, which in turn can change how you approach them. When you choose to look for the lesson, the opportunity, or the growth within a challenge, you empower yourself to keep moving forward. You step out of the victim mindset and into a space where you have control over your own experience. It's a bit like standing at the edge of a forest, looking at a path that seems dark and overgrown. You could focus on how difficult the path looks, or you could focus on the way the light filters through the trees, guiding you forward. Your perspective shapes which path you choose and how you feel about the journey ahead. Practical ways to shift your perspective. Now, I know shifting perspective doesn't always come naturally, especially when life feels heavy. So, let's talk about some practical ways you can begin to make this shift in your day-to-day life. 1. Pause and breathe. When you're in the middle of a tough situation, it's easy to get caught up in negative thoughts. The first step to shifting your perspective is to pause and take a deep breath. Give yourself a moment to step back from the emotions swirling around you. This simple act of pausing creates space for new thoughts to enter. 2. Ask yourself empowering questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Try asking, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "How can I grow through this experience?" These questions put you in a proactive, problem-solving mindset rather than a passive one. You shift from feeling powerless to feeling empowered. 3. Practice gratitude. Even on the hardest days, there's always something to be grateful for. It could be as simple as the sunshine, a supportive friend, or a moment of peace in your day. When you focus on gratitude, you begin to reframe your thoughts toward what's good, which naturally shifts your perspective toward the positive. 4. Surround yourself with positive influences. The people and media you surround yourself with have a big impact on your perspective. If you're constantly hearing negativity, it's harder to see the bright side. So, be mindful of what you're feeding your mind. Surround yourself with positivity, whether that's through uplifting podcasts, like this one, inspiring books, or supportive people. 5. Remind yourself it's temporary. Most challenges are temporary, even if they feel permanent in the moment. Remind yourself that this too shall pass, and in the meantime, you have the opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Closing thoughts. As we wrap up today's episode, I want you to remember this. Life is all about perspective. The way you see things has the power to transform your experience. Challenges will always come, but how you respond to them is entirely within your control. So, the next time you're faced with a difficult situation, pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what's the silver lining here? What can I learn? The more you practice this, the more natural it will become, and before you know it, you'll find yourself navigating life with a sense of calm, clarity, and resilience. You've got this, my friend. Keep looking for the light, even in the darkest moments. I believe in you, and I'm here cheering you on every step of the way. Thank you for joining me today on the Daily Uplift. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who might need a little extra encouragement today. And as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts or stories about how shifting your perspective has helped you through a tough time. You can reach out to me on social media or through our website. Until next time, keep shining bright. I'm Amelia Brooks, and this was the Daily Uplift. Stay positive, stay hopeful, and remember, you've got this.